Good evening. Thank all of you for being here tonight. Today is June 20th, 2023. Our thought for today is with new day comes new strength and new thoughts. That's Eleanor Roosevelt. I'm going to go ahead and officially call the meeting to order tonight. We have a special guest with us tonight, Pastor Ryan Wyatt from the Church of 213. Sir, if you would, thank you for being here tonight. If you would, please come on up. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your ministry, and if you would, pray for our community and lead us in our pledge, please.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. It's always a privilege to stand in the midst of people that care about our county as much as we do. Church 213 is out in East Newton, now out on Highway 213. I've been the pastor there 6 years, and we're a church plant. We planted in 2007, found ourselves since 1675, Highway 213. In 2010, and so we serve the people out there, pointing to the hope, the living hope of the Lord Jesus, and we're trying to figure out how to best meet the needs of the people that God continues to bring us in East Newton and Newton County down the I-20 corridor. Every week we see the growth in Newton County, so we're thankful to be a small part of what God's doing right here in this place. So let's pray together. Mighty God, we assemble under your mighty hand this afternoon, Lord, as maker. God, we are humbled that we have life to the full. You put breath in our lungs. God, just to know that you know us is a privilege, Lord, knowing that you created all things. Your word says you hang the earth on nothing. You spoke out the stars and you lit them on fire, yet you think much of us. And so, God, I pray that we would give you our very best, Lord, that you would pierce us, you would prod us, you would purpose us to be good stewards of all that you've allowed us to have, especially here in Newton County. And Father, I pray for our assembled leaders that you would give them truth, and you would give them vision, you would give them discernment, that they would walk humbly with you and they would serve under your mighty hand, not just as maker, but as master, not just as master, but guide. And Lord, I pray that this meeting tonight would do nothing but to glorify yourself through your Son and this community as we look into you, our living hope. God, we thank you for life. We thank you for the purpose that we have in you. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
So let us pledge. Let's stand, please. Ready? Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Pastor. I greatly appreciate you. I do have a small token of appreciation that I want to give to you and thanking you for all that you do in this community. Next on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. I seek a motion, please.
So moved.
Can I get a second? It's been motioned by Commissioner Mason and second by Commissioner Sanders. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
I think it passed 5-0. I do want to say that Commissioner Edwards is on tonight via Zoom tonight. So Commissioner, do you want to state where you are?
Yes, sir. I'm on vacation in St. George Island, Florida. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Thank you, sir. Next is citizens' comments. This is an opportunity that we allow citizens to make comments about agenda topics only. Agenda topics only. You have 3 minutes to do so. If you would, please state your name and your address for the record, please. Also, if you do not want to give your address, there is a form to my right here on this table that you can fill out, and you can give it to the county clerk. But you can come at this time. You have 3 minutes to do so. Anyone want to make comments about agenda topics only? Agenda topics only.
Thomas Buckner, 650 Fleet Drive. I got a comment on number 15. A $98,000 tree house. I don't care if Splosh paid for it or what. It's still coming out of taxpayers' money. I mean, $98,888. That's a little ridiculous. I mean, okay, it may be for the handicapped. Are they going to have an elevator for the handicapped to go and get up in it? How are they going to climb a ladder, and them handicapped, to get up in a tree house? I must be going to have running water and sewerage and all that. I mean, it's funny. It is funny, all right, for a $98,000 tree house. And taxes going up every year. And you say, well, we're going to bring them down next year. But next year they'll never come. My dad burdened school tax this year was $700. That's stupid. Me, I'm 85 years old. I ought to be getting it for nothing. Never had no kids to go to school in Newton County. My kids went to Cobb County, where they could learn something.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else would like to make?
Barbara Morgan, 2158 East Street, Covington, Georgia. The dream of a tree house at Chimney Park has been a dream of the Friends of Newton Park for years. Finally, SPLOST voters approved it. It will enable children who are confined to wheelchairs or to crutches to experience the joy that there is in getting up in a tree, things we have all done. We have all been able to climb trees. These children can't. This is something they need, and it will further enhance the park for disabled children.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Thank you. That portion of citizen comments are closed. Next, we're going to have, I don't have anything to report tonight. Next, we're going to have the county manager report, Mr. Cooper.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, distinguished board members. Today, my report will be regarding the Newton County Low-Income Senior Home Repair Program. As you all know, when I took the helm, I talked about the 3 Ps: people, purpose, and processes. The people, again, are our greatest asset. Our purpose as a government is optimum service delivery. And our processes, the way we provide those services, will be constantly reviewed and evaluated so that they can be enhanced. The people in this presentation are pretty much our national treasure, right? Our seniors. The low-income senior program is designed for our seniors who have low income, who meet the eligibility, and the eligibility age is 55 years and older. The program is designed to help eligible seniors with necessary repairs to their home through the ARPA grant, or the ARPA funding, I should say. And we are paying $15,000 in repairs for eligible seniors. In reference to our processes, seniors register for the program through our consulting firm, iParametrics. Seniors will receive an email confirmation to begin application processes. applications are completed, and review and repairs are completed at that point. The program at a glance. As of June 15th, we had 298 seniors registered for the program. 39 applicants were under review. However, as of today, we currently have 371 seniors registered and 51 applications under review with 8 approvals. And at this time, I'm going to yield to the champions of this project, some internal stakeholders, Ms. Nawaka Hughes, but before she takes the podium, I'm going to yield to Ms. Laura Bertram and her team from the Newton County Family Connection. She's the executive director. Laura, can you come up?
I just want to say thank you so much for the work that you all do and for the hours that you spend. This has been an exciting project. Family Connection envisions a Newton County where all children, families, and the community are engaged, empowered, and successful. To do that, we connect community partners with each other, with volunteers, and most importantly, with the families we all serve. The county and our elected officials build the public will that puts together our volunteers, our programs, and promotes them throughout the community. We are so grateful for that. Molly Melvin is with me today. She is a colleague and has been a dear friend of mine. We have done this work together since 2006. We were honored that the County Board of Commissioners invited this organization to work this project. That gives those with the least resources an opportunity to strengthen their sense of safety and security, thus really strengthening our thriving community. Seniors are paper people, though, and by necessity, for the safety of the seniors themselves, as well as for the accountability of the funds that are being distributed, this program is available only online. It is with the wisdom of iParametrics, or really the wisdom of iParametrics, that they knew how hard a job this would be, that they brought in local friends and family to talk with the seniors and work them through this program. So that is where our new partners came in, social service professionals and technology warriors. I can safely say that we have all become better grounded in this work altogether. It has been an exciting 8 days. This has all happened within 8 days. The county has never let us lack for anything that we needed, and iParametrics has provided a single point of contact, Michelle Fidelia, who has been on call for us really about 12 hours a day, every day since we started. And also, it has been a pleasure. I think Mr. Cooper came into this program, talk about jumping in with both feet. You did it, and so gracefully, and we're there so strongly. We are so grateful for your presence and your support. Raka and Brian really stopped down about 3 or 4 times a day, and people are still saying how they called. We saw the most people on day 1, I think, and learned quickly what we needed to do. There are, in essence, the 4 parts of this process. Actually, pre-registration where you declare you're eligible, the application where you upload the documents to prove that you're eligible, and then you have to wait really about 2 weeks before they tell you if you're approved or not. There are rules to this. There is an income level, there is an upper level of 80% and a prioritized level of 50% of the mean income for this community. And then once you hear, the contractor becomes involved. And the county has also gone out of its way. We realize that we cannot, as a team, recommend contractors. However, the county has invited all contractors, and I encourage all the commissioners to invite contractors to apply to the county site so that they too can be considered in application. The funds will not pay for any estimates, but they are willing to accept the terms of the program, which really says 50% up front. This is not written in stone, and the rest of it upon the end of the program. And really, instead of me talking, I'd like to talk to the people who serve, very briefly, if that would, with your permission. Come on up.
Good evening. I would like to say my name is Cheryl Bennett. I would like to start this day or this evening by saying thank you to you all on behalf of the people that I have been encountering for creating these funds. Working with the elderly population has been such a hoot and enjoyable, and it's been kind of challenging because a lot of the elders that come in, some of them don't have emails. Some of them, one gentleman didn't even have a cell phone. He didn't have any connections. So we were able to get him an email. We were able to upload his information. We were able to even go a step further and help him to get one of the SafeLink free phones so that he could call in and check with us. One gentleman came in and he was so grateful because he was speaking about how dilapidated his roof was. And during our conversation, we got to talking about just snacks and foods because it was lunchtime. And he said, you've helped me out so much, do you eat pimento cheese? And I said, sure. And he didn't elaborate, but a few minutes later, he came back and he was like, you guys have helped me so much. I make homemade pimento cheese sandwich. And he brought us all sandwiches because he was so excited about the help he was able to receive in our program. I hear all the time, I didn't know how I was gonna get this done. And I was praying about it, and I looked in the paper, or I went this place, and they were able to get the information. So again, it's been wonderful work in the program as a team member in the community servicing, but just feeling like you're doing a good job, being a part of something really great in the community.
Good evening, commissioners and chairman of the board. My name is Caitlin Melvin. I was brought onto this project specifically due to technical advancement that has maybe bypassed a couple people involved in the project, but I'm glad to have done so because I'm finding more and more every day the necessity of that service. I'm not going to say it's a hard process. It can be done at home, but to focus the demographic of senior citizens who maybe don't have a computer or even phone in their hands every day, it is not easy. And I want to reiterate the importance of our presence face-to-face for people like that. We hear stories of why they're applying for this program. We're hearing testimonies sometimes of, I just needed someone to talk to. I'm in a point of desperation. That's why I need this. And we can make this accessible. We can put it in a realm of possibility for them, right? We're finding more and more every day that there's a spectrum of literacy levels. You know, the human interaction is not to be dismissed. There is a whole community right now that feels they can't come forward to do this because it's admitting something embarrassing. And we would just want to say that our presence here is only to help and to serve and to aid. And the gratitude that we get when people do finally submit that application, and we've heard already they are approved and they're having that work done on their homes, and we're seeing smiles and we're receiving gifts. It's making such an impact in this community, and we're so glad and proud to be a part of it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Frida Broughton. It has been an honor for me to be able to work with the seniors. As I talk with them, I see the great need for this grant and everything, and they are very appreciative of it. And the ones that I have worked with have actually said thank you to us just to be there, to be able to help them through this application process. I like it when Ms. Laura says to me, she says, I'm going to find somebody that you don't know. I'm from Covington, and I know a lot of the people that comes in, and I think they feel very comfortable when they talk with me and everything. And it's been an experience for me just to be able to do this, and I'm glad I was able to do it. I am able to do it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, commissioners and board. Again, I just want to echo what we heard. The testimonies is really what it's about. So in addition to helping the number that Mr. Cooper shared, I myself have taken about 200 calls, 200 calls since it started. This program is needed. So We just want to thank you again, and we ask that you be patient with us as we work through some of the hurdles that we've gone through. We've changed the location. Brian has updated the website, so the location will be at the Newton County Family Connection Building. We'll also be at the Newton Administration Building, and then we'll have 2 days that we'll be over at the Porter Memorial Library. So if you will direct people to go to our website and see that update so they can get the time for that. But we just want to let you know that we are doing our best to help our seniors, again, to get this grant, and you know, maybe we'll consider adding some additional grant funding on for it. It's needed. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank all of you. Thank all of you. Mr. Cooper.
This concludes my report, Mr. Chairman. And as I stated during the last meeting, are we going to have some ebbs and flows, some highs and lows? We will, but we're working diligently to make sure that the process is efficient as possible.
Thank you so much. Commissioner Cowan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say thank you to all the people that are working on this program. I know it's a lot of work involved. My biggest concern is the amount of money that we've allocated. I know I have mentioned it at least twice, that $15,000 was not enough money to get some of this housing problems fixed. I would like to see that raised. I had suggested that it needed to be $30,000, but that is up to the Board of Commissioners what they want to do. But I do think the dollar amount is not sufficient enough to handle a lot of the problems that some of the housing in Newton County have. So I'd like to open that up for some discussion, if we can, about the amount, and then give some direction to Mr. Cooper.
Is that something you want to add to the agenda?
Yes, let's do that, because we've never voted on that amount.
You making that in the form of a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second? Second. It's been motioned by Commissioner Cowan and second by Commissioner Henderson that we add this to the agenda tonight. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Thank you. It passes 5-0. We're going to make that item We're going to make that item 19A. 19A. Thank you. Anything else for the county manager report? Commissioner
Well,
Henderson.
we still need to decide an amount. Correct?
Yeah, we'll discuss that at 19A.
Okay.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. First of all, thank you, ladies, for doing such a great job assisting our citizens, and especially our senior citizens, you know, and I'm one of those senior citizens myself too as well. And somebody hit me on the board, if they would. I think when we first talked about assisting senior citizens, I was thinking it was supposed to be a little more of a hands-on, and somebody can help me, because what I had heard from some of the people who called me at home, they'll call me, and I'm pretty sure they called all of us, and they said it wasn't hands-on, that they was giving them some instructions, and they didn't know how to proceed with those particular instructions. And so, Ms. Laura, would you please give us a little bit more information, if you would, please, ma'am.
I'm delighted to answer that. I will tell you that there is no one that we sent home alone with just a few minutes of instruction. And I will tell you that we generally spend, and I did not say this earlier, probably about an hour to an hour and a half minimum with everybody who comes in. We do recommend that if people are not familiar with the computer process, that if they have someone that is a close friend or a child to come with them, and if they are concerned about the documents, sharing them on our computers, then that they can use their own computer, and we go through it line by line with them at every time. So, and not only do we help them with the application, we have gotten them emails. We have, the reason why Cheryl bought that man, didn't buy it, she found him a free phone, was so that he could call her when he saw the new email come in, so that she would meet him, that he could come and meet with her, and she would walk him through it. The other thing is that we've had 2 calls. One person's just had a knee replacement. Another person is a quadriplegic who is homebound. We are making sure that we go to their houses with them, with our computer, and are able to use theirs to do this. It is a complicated process. It does involve having an email that you can access on a regular basis. So it is very much part of our plan to work with everybody as they are needed. And we have 2 men who are fabulous computer wizards, and 2 women, young. And it seems that they share in common they are all young, but they are all computer wizards, and they have taught us a lot. But we have worked through so many issues, and many of the issues are caused by the people themselves and inputting their email incorrectly. But Michelle has answered every time we call with that person's last name and their email, and every time she has been able to straighten it out. So please refer them and have them call the Family Connection number, which is 770-786-0807. We answer that phone between 10 and 3, and after that, if they leave a message, we will return the call the next day.
Yes, ma'am. So y'all go to the homes of the seniors?
Only under very special circumstances, yes. And we did have I think it's Rose Collins, who was the queen for the Juneteenth parade on Saturday. And her daughter happens to be just 71, and I said, well, maybe she has a granddaughter too. But she spent over an hour with us last Friday. And so we are spending much time with people who are of all ages.
Yes, ma'am. So I guess one last question to Mr. Cooper is that, so we have someone in all of our districts that where y'all will go in or set up so that the seniors in every district will be able to come in and maybe get help if needed, or whatever information they may need in order to help them to receive this grant.
Yes, sir. And the problem is that many internet connections are sketchy. So that's why we've chosen just a few locations with quirks that we've learned to work with, because that takes some of the longest time.
Yes, ma'am. I got this question is to Brian. If there's a part in the county, somewhere in the county, where they can't get a connection to the internet in order to help our seniors, so what can we do in order to kind of help? Because I think that every senior anywhere in the county should be able to either go somewhere within their districts and be able to put in for the application for the monies in order to prepare their homes.
Do you want me to take that? Yeah, well, right now we have the 3 locations spread out to different regions of the county that they can come. As you all know, and you've approved other ARPA funding, the internet is still a work in progress in some regions of the county, and that's, obviously that's out of our hands. That's why you all have made some of the efforts you have to spread that.
And this is my last comment, I guess. I think we are paying $20 an hour to have for assistance to our seniors in order to help them to put in for this money in order to repair their homes. Do we have a list of people who can help repair their homes, of contractors?
We've actually created a list that we've made available to our seniors.
And I'll tell you sometimes that some of the problem, one of the huge problems, and particularly for people who live in historic areas of the city of Covington, is that they live in homes that were owned by their parents. No one ever told them that they had to switch to a different, to their own name upon the death of their parents, because they're now in their 70s and 80s. And so we have found a partner with the Area Council on Aging out of Northeast Atlanta that will help them with that probate at no cost. And so to move that so that they would then be eligible. And that's a huge, that's been a certain learning experience for us. And it was Frida who found that.
Yeah, we know Miss Frida's real good.
Yeah, Miss Frida will find it.
No, Miss Frida.
Yeah,
Miss
yeah.
Frida.
She knows everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Laura. You and your team, thank you so much for what you guys are doing. Guys, it is actually 7:30 now. It's time for our zoning tonight. Ms. Applewhite, if you would, please come on up. Good evening.
All right, thank you, Chairman. Good evening, Chairman of the Board of Commissioners. Our first case this evening, it's actually old business. Brian, can you click on the screen? Okay. This is REZ 22-000013. It's located at 375 Flat Rock Road. The parcel size this evening is 15.56 acres of the larger 126.69 acre parcel. Tax ID 79-9. It's currently the flume or the existing land use map is industrial. The existing zoning is A, agricultural, and the proposed zoning they're seeking is M2, heavy industrial. This is located in the Alcovy watershed, Commissioner District 5. Owner is JBW Investments, LLC, and the petitioner is Eric Johnson. So this, like I said, this is old business. It was initially heard by the Planning Commission back in October, and they had denied the rezoning. It came before this board on November 1st, 2022, sorry, and a deferral was granted at the request of the applicant until February. And on February, the applicant again asked for 90 days referral until today. So that would bring us up to speed with where we are with it. And again, the applicant's intent is to seek a rezoning to heavy industrial use for a data center. And we do have the history of the property. It's only 15.56 acres they're seeking to rezone. The remainder of the parcel will stay as agriculture. This parcel, the portion of the parcel they're seeking to rezone is actually adjacent to the city parcel, which is also heavy industrial and a part of the bigger project that they're proposing. So for I did speak with the city since the applicant is working with both governments. And the information the city relayed is that the applicant had also seek a rezoning and eventually a tier change for the property that's adjacent and a part of this project. They had seek a rezoning for mixed-use development, and there's also tier change. And this has been deferred or put on hold until July, where it will go back before the city. The applicant has also submitted to the city a land disturbance permit for mass grading for the city parcel portion. And according to the information relayed by the city, the intent is the second use that they're looking to do would be for truck parking if the industrial use doesn't go through. But again, for our parcel in the county, which we are looking at, the plan is to have it as part of a data center. And in conclusion, given the fact that the property, it has a future land use designation of industrial, it is adjacent to industrial zonings, and the applicant's proposed use of the land is for industrial purposes. Staff is of the opinion that it may be appropriate for the site. However, it should also be taken into consideration that the site is also adjacent to agricultural zoning, and it's in our protective watershed, the Alcovy watershed. And they will be moving from the least intensive use and zoning to the most intensive use and zoning. And just to remind you of the recommendations from staff, so should the petition be approved, it should be approved heavy industrial conditional, subject to the owner's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. And where these conditions conflict with the stipulations and offerings contained in the letter of intent, the conditions shall supersede unless specifically stipulated by the Board of Commissioners. And we had the following conditions: so the owner's agreement to abide by the following. They have to do a minor plat, which will be approved by the Development Services to subdivide out the 15 acres. They must have a 100-foot buffer maintained along the southern boundary, which is adjacent to the non-industrial zoning, and this will be for parcels 79-10 and 79-11. Any required permits must be obtained from Development Services before any construction or development on the property. Prior to the allowance of any outdoor storage on the property, the applicant will provide a plan showing the area in which the storage will occur, and this is to be approved by Development Services. Outdoor storage will be limited to 25% of the total lot, and the F we added a new recommendation for the board to consider, just to limit the use to a data center. So this is the location where the star is. This is where the 15 acres approximately, and the city parcel is the purple below, which is heavy industrial. And we have all A zoning on the county side. Again, the future land use map shows it as industrial. It is in the Alcovy, the green is the Alcovy River watershed. This is a survey, the boundary survey as proposed by the applicant. And this was the overall site plan that they had provided us with, which it looks at both parcels. County is up here with a star, and the remainder of the project is in the city. This shows just a proposed layout. And Chairman, this has already had a public hearing. But if the board has any questions, the applicant is here.
Yeah. We're going to open it back up. Patrick said we need to open it back up. So we're going to open it back up. Thank you. The applicant and those that would like to speak in favor tonight, you have 10 minutes to do so. If you would, please come up and state your name and your address for the record, please. The applicant and those that want to speak in favor tonight. Have 10 minutes to do so. Please state your name and your address for the record, please.
Good evening. Eric Johansson, 6083 Shadburn Ferry Road, Beaufort, Georgia. Here tonight representing the applicant and the property owner, JBW Investments. The piece of land that we're talking about is only limited to 15.56 acres of land of the overall 126 acre parcel. Previously, this was subject to an annexation request that was coupled with a piece next to it. That did get pulled and it never did go through. And to just catch you up to speed real quick on the delays that you saw that Ms. Applewhite presented, there's no secret we are pursuing a text amendment in the city of Covington, and the city of Covington would allow for a mixed-use development on the site that would have multiple forms of residential mixed in with the industrial land. Since we've been pursuing that, we have a partner now that we're under contract with in Trammell Crow who's here tonight, and they want to utilize the site as a data center, so therefore the mixed-use element would go away. We didn't want to proceed forward with what we were doing because our application was to blend the two properties together, and the portion of this property would have been used for that purpose. So we thought it'd be better to regroup, have a better plan, and then come for you what we need. This piece is a portion of our 339 acres, 60 acres, 15 acres to the side, and this 15 acres would make the overall site a total of around 430 acres. Through all of the processes that we've been through in the county, opposition has come up here and told you guys things that, in our opinion, were not true. So there was a map that was presented a little bit ago, and I wanted to present one more map to show you. This map right here is the watershed map, the same map that you had before. This is the parcel of land right here. Anything in the green is in the Alcovy River watershed. Anything in the brown is in the Cornish Creek watershed. The Cornish Creek watershed flows directly into Lake Varner, and then it goes out through the normal treatment process and it gets used as drinking water. Anything in the green is in the Alcovy River watershed. So no matter if I left the fire hydrants on out there all year, not one drop of that water is going to go into Lake Varner. So I just want to make that clear that none of the water goes into Lake Varner. The use of the property with Trammell Crow would be as a data center campus. It would be a secured campus. We are not looking to have access onto Flat Rock Road or Gregory Road with direct vehicular access from the site. The access that would be needed onto either Flat Rock Road or Gregory Road through the permitting process would be for emergency vehicles only. Fire codes have different parameters than site development and land development have with distances to buildings, fire hydrants, and everything else. So from a emergency access standpoint, that would be the only access needed onto Flat Rock Road and Gregory Road. Be happy to answer any questions you may have on the site. Drew Frederick with Trammell Crow's here that can answer limited questions on the data center. We don't have a site plan to show you. It is confidential right now, but it is similar to what we have right there. It's over 3 million square feet he can get into. And our primary access on the site for all vehicles will come off of State Route 142. We're proposing a new Parkway Road that would come to the south side of American Way. American Way would then get shut off and reconfigured into the Parkway. We're pursuing a signalized intersection, a new road, better line of sight, and altogether just a better situation for traffic. We would have an emergency access as well onto Alcovy Road, but we would not have primary access onto Alcovy Road. It would primarily be for emergency vehicles, again, because the proposed development would be a gated, secured, single-tenant type campus. With that, I can turn it over to Drew, and he can answer any questions you may have about the data center.
Hi, good evening. My name is Drew Frederick with Trammell Crow Company. Be happy to answer any questions you may have as far as this project.
You have 5 minutes and 44 seconds to make any comments that you would like to make. And if you want to speak in favor of it.
Yes. So we have a client that we are looking for a data center campus. This would be a huge investment for the county, and from an industrial perspective, it's probably while the M2 is probably the most heavy use for an industrial site, the data center is one of the lightest uses for an industrial site. So when you look at the data center, it does not have the amount of trucks, the amount of traffic that you would get with a normal data center. So from a regular industrial project. So it is a case where it's a good use of this land. It is already zoned for industrial. And again, from an impact to roads, it's actually going to be very minimal. But like it was said, we are going to be building a new road for the and have an interchange on 142. With that's really all I have. It's a pleasure to be up in front of you guys, and appreciate your interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak in favor?
One other point I'd like to remind this board about, you probably already know through your extensive research of the property, but the City of Covington piece was annexed and zoned into the City of Covington in December of 1989. And when that was brought in 1989, that's when the industrial use was established on that 339 acres. And then the adjacent properties that we have to the western side of that, those were previously zoned industrial as well. So I just want to let you know that the industrial zoning on the Covington piece, which we would mimic as an M2, previously done in 1989. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can we reserve the rest of our time?
You sure can.
Rebuttal. Thank
4 minutes, 4 minutes and 5 seconds. 4 minutes. You got it out there? So, are y'all speaking in favor?
We are.
So they can't reserve the time. Yeah. Okay.
Steve Capp, 155 Cornish Trace Drive, Covington, Georgia.
No, go back to 4 minutes. Yeah.
Yes.
Need to go back to 4 minutes, 405.
Charles Tuller, 725 Flat Rock Road,
Yeah,
Oxford, Georgia.
Hold on one
Mr.
second.
Chairman.
Hold on 1 second. There you go.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, we've got property just not too far from that they want to rezone, that 15 acres. The applicant made a good point earlier about working with the city, trying to get multifamily established in that area, but with this new applicant, new potential sale for a data center, I think that's a lot better for that area. It meets the industrial criteria, but I want to be very specific that the condition be that there's no truck traffic on Flat Rock Road or Gregory, only emergency access on those two roads. And if that's a condition of the rezone, then I'm all in favor.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, I'm Charles Tuller again, and I'm here representing myself that I have 15 acres within a half a mile on Flat Rock Road, and I'm also representing Robert R. Fowler, who has some 200 acres, and we are in favor of the project subject to the conditions previously about vehicle traffic on Flat Rock and Gregory Road.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Anyone else would like to speak in favor tonight? Anyone else would like to speak in favor? Brian, if you would hold that 2 minutes and 43 seconds, please. We also allow those that would like to oppose tonight. You have 10 minutes also tonight. You can come at this time and state your name and address for the record, please, if you would like to oppose tonight.
My name is Chris Sewell. I live at 70 South Waters Edge Drive. Chairman Baines and Commissioners, thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. Like I said, my name is Chris Sewell, and I live at 70 South Waters Edge Drive in Covington, which is located on the northeast side of the county, just off of Cornish Mountain Road in Flat Rock. I come here to voice opposition to the proposed rezoning application, REZ 22-000013 at the intersection of Flat Rock and Gregory. This rezoning is approximately 1.5 miles from my home in our subdivision, and I am one voice speaking for many. The residents of this area that would be impacted by this are fortunate enough to live in a quiet rural area that is close to all the benefits of the smart progress that is taking place within the city and the county. We are for smart progress and growth, but let's take a look at some of the facts about this request. Fact number one, it does not fit the character of the area, and it does not fit the intended use of the area. As mentioned, this proposed rezoning is not smart progress. It is the antithesis of this. This rezoning request is to go from the least impactful usage to the most intensive usage, which provides the ability to build anything and everything. That threatens everything about the area, and it threatens what Newton County's own 2006 and 2018 comprehensive plan says about this land that is included in the Flint Hill character area, which states a rural community tied closely to the preservation, recreation, conservation of Lake Varner Reservoir. This land that is up rezoning is approximately 1/2 mile from the only water source for Newton County. While a 1/2 mile does not seem very close, it is. Just ask the residents of Settler Grove subdivision that lived within a 1/2 mile of the BD plant here in town about dealing with ethylene oxide, ETO, and the impact of living that close to heavy industrial with both property values and, more importantly, health issues. You cannot risk that with a water source. Fact number two, this land is not conducive to this type of zoning. This land is comprised of ashlar rock outcrop soil. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I'm not a geologist, but this is cited from the 1999 soil survey of Newton and Rockdale counties by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. This represents that the bedrock in this area is less than 3 feet from the surface, and land of this type of soil is severely limited in use. This will create massive runoff and will easily overwhelm structures put in place to prevent this runoff. Commissioner Henderson, I actually believe it was you that acknowledged this during the original meeting about the annexation, that this land was nothing but rock. It is. It does not fit what the residents of the area want, and it does not fit what Newton County wants for the area. The comprehensive plan also highlights the suitable uses for this land as residential, agricultural, parks and recreation, and conservation. Fact number 3, there's no infrastructure to support this. Both Gregory and Flat Rock roads are not equipped to handle this type of traffic that this will cause, despite the promises of the applicant. There's nothing that says they can't change this. Turning off left off of Flat Rock onto Highway 142 is already dangerous enough, not considering the upcoming projects that are set to place in the adjacent to the intersection. This intersection is also already in poor condition with deep ruts along the intersection. There's not even reliable electricity in the area with our power constantly going out with the slightest breeze or sometimes no reason at all. I ask you to please join me and other residents of the area who do not support this by supporting us, and I ask that you vote unanimously against this. Thank you.
Sir, can we get that statement for the record, please? Can we get your statement?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to oppose tonight? Anyone else that would like to oppose tonight? Anyone else that would like to?
Hello, my name is Natasha Redondo. I live at 1229 Cornish Mountain Road. I don't have a fancy speech, but basically I just like to say that I moved to Covington 3 years ago. It was the first place I ever bought my first house. And I moved here because of Flat Rock. I love driving down it, and I love going across Lake Verner, and there's trees everywhere. And I love watching, the bald eagles that go fishing there and fly over my property. And I live in Covington and work in Atlanta. So sometimes I can have up to 3 hours a day of a commute to get to work, but I like my job, but I love coming home to Covington. So I deal with the commute, I deal with the traffic to come home to the peace, to come home to the quiet. If I wanted all of the chaos and wanted all the extra stuff, I would live closer to Atlanta. But I believe if we start creating industrial places even closer to Lake Verner, then it's just going to continue to increase and become more industrial, more busy, more built up. So please help us keep everything beautiful and keep it peaceful, and let us be able to come home to a beautiful area. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to oppose tonight?
Thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Steve Henderson. I live at 15 South Waters Edge Drive, and I am a geologist. One of the things that the applicant pointed out is that the acreage lies pretty much in the Alcovy River drainage. And the boundary, or the drainage divide, between that and Cornish Creek, the Lake Varner, is essentially Gregory Road. If you look at Gregory Road, this is not like the Continental Divide. This is something where the divide is only a few feet in elevation on either side. If you start modifying Gregory Road, or start modifying the land, you could quickly change that. And with the sometimes amazing rain events we get, I think you're playing with a risky thing in terms of having some of the water ending up in Lake Varner. I think it's just simply too close to the Cornish Creek drainage divide. And I think it's risky. I wouldn't do it. And also, Walton County has a 25% interest in Lake Varner. And I think that they should have a say in something that's happening that close. So I would appreciate this to go into your decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? That portion is closed. Hold on 1 second. Sir, would you like to come back up for your 2 minutes and 39 seconds?
We good?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you for the comments of the opposition. We've heard those, and we've taken that into consideration on every time we've been up here before this board in the application we've made to the county. I'm going to go back real quick to the map I just showed you. Everything in green, which our property is, and the other 415 acres of the industrial development located in the city of Covington, is in the Alcovey River watershed. It all flows into the Alcovey River. None of it goes into Cornish Creek. All of it on our site flows from the top to the bottom to a lake that we have in the middle where it's all collected and goes down a stream. None of it goes down Gregory Road. With respect to the question that came up about changing the character area of the county and this area, this purple area right here is where our site is. This was in your packet as well. This is on the future land use map of Newton County. The future land use map of Newton County shows 15.56 acres of our 126 acres as a future land use as industrial. This property, if zoned industrial and combined into other 415 acres, provides a natural stopping point for the industrial. We have 415 acres already zoned industrial in the city. This is just the cap that's provided up onto Gregory Road and Flat Rock. We're not changing the grade of Gregory Road. We're not changing the grade of Flat Rock Road. We've proposed for no access other than any required emergency vehicles, which that gets determined during the fire review process of the plans. We're not utilizing any infrastructure on Gregory Road. We're not utilizing any infrastructure on Flat Rock Road. All of the power that'll be needed for this site is already located on our site. We have 2 sets of transmission power lines and a 200-foot easement. There will be a substation on the site that's going to be between 10 and 15 acres of size. It's going to take the power off the transmission power lines, generate the power needed to power all the buildings on our site. So there's not a power shortage. There's not a power lack of demand on the site. Anything that we need will be generated on site. All utilities, all infrastructure, all transportation improvements, and all buildings and all grading is done on site. Nothing will flow back to Lake Varner. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Applewhite. No one asked for it. Yeah, I already done closed it. I'm sorry. Yeah, no one came up and asked for because he. So hold on now. Hold on. Let me handle this. I got it. So Mr. Craig asked for an opportunity to rebuttal when he was up here. No one came up here and said, "I want an opportunity to rebuttal on the opposing side." Yeah, no, it's already closed. That's what I'm saying. It's closed. Thank you, sir. Mr. Cowan. This is in District 5, I'm assuming.
Yeah, for the purposes of discussion, I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve this so that we can have a discussion on this.
Is there a second? So you made a motion to approve, right?
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson, second. Any discussion?
Yes.
Commissioner Cowan, go ahead.
Okay. The land that is south of that is owned by the city of Covington,
That is correct, sir.
and that's already M2 zoning, is that correct?
Yes, this parcel, or the purple one, yes.
Okay, and that faces Flat Rock Road?
This is zoning here, so there we go. So we have Gregory Road up here, and
So
then
that's,
Flat Rock.
that piece right there is already owned to Flat Rock Road, right?
Where the city parcel is correct, yes.
Yes. Okay, and so the city of Covington can pretty much do anything they want to. We don't have any say-so over the city of Covington. Is that right, Mr. Patrick?
That is correct.
Okay. All right, so Covington can already do M2 building over there. I think there's about 400 acres already zoned M2 through there, is that correct?
In the city,
It's
yes,
in the
just
city
about.
limits of
I think
Covington?
the 15 acres would include that 400.
I'm sorry, what?
The 15, when you add the 15 acres, it would come up to the 400, according to the applicant.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's 300 and something.
Mhm.
I'd wrote down 400 plus acres. Already zone M2, correct?
On the
It's already
city's
M2.
portion. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So all we've got is just that little piece up there. Now, so we've got to put some conditions on that property to keep to basically try to keep the residents happy and make sure that there's nothing, as they alluded to, all they want to have is access for emergency vehicles. Have you discussed some of restrictions on zoning with your attorney? You have?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hey.
but there's some more conditions.
So, guys,
There's some more conditions. Mr. Craig, do you want to come up and talk about those conditions?
Mr. Calvin, no, we're not doing that.
What's that?
Can you answer the questions?
I'm
You
sorry.
can't answer the questions?
Let's make your
I can try to
motion
do it.
subject to these new conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't have them written in the record.
I know,
yet.
you read it, just read them out, and
I was gonna let Mr. Craig read them.
why don't you give them,
No,
why don't you give them to Shane
let
election?
Shane
I don't
read
want to
it.
reopen the public
Y'all do.
hearing.
We're not gonna
Okay.
open it back
Arguably,
up.
that's
We
what
just
you
told this young man that he can't speak. Now, we're not gonna let somebody else come up here and speak.
Okay.
And we just told this young man he
Well,
can't
whatever.
speak.
However you want to do it. Don't read my notes. Those are the ones on the front. Those would be additional.
Okay, I'll just read these into the record. To the owner's agreement to abide by the following: A, the minor plat must be approved by Development Services to subdivide out the 15.56. B, any required permits must be obtained from Development Services before construction or development. C, no permanent or direct vehicular access to either Flat Rock Road or Gregory Road shall be permitted. However, construction access shall be allowed. So that's one of the new ones. D, an earthen berm of at least 8 feet tall shall be installed on the portions of the property that directly abuts Flat Rock Road and Gregory Road. The earthen berm shall be planted with a double staggered row of evergreen trees that are at least 8 feet tall at the time of planting and installed no further than every 20 linear feet on center within each row. The double staggered rows shall be separated by no more than 12 feet. The evergreen trees shall include an equal distribution of Tuha green giants, southern magnolias, and tree-form hollies. E, a 100-foot natural buffer must be maintained along the southeastern boundary line of the property that is adjacent to non-industrial zonings in the Newton County parcels. And we had 7910 and 7911 for that. F, prior to the allowance of any outdoor storage on the property, the applicant will provide a plan showing the area in which the storage will occur to be approved by the Department of Development Services. And G, outdoor storage is limited to 25% of the total lot. And Commissioner, these would be in addition to what we've already proposed? Is what you're
Yes.
saying? Okay, yeah,
Okay. Can
that's
I
the
have
last
that?
one.
Can I have that back?
Okay, I'll need a copy at some point.
Okay. All right, are y'all, the applicant, are y'all willing to comply with these additional conditions for the zoning? Let me ask you one more question. Would you be willing,
Who you
when
asking?
there is a sale of the property, to
Bro.
include these as
Man,
restrictions in
heck
the
no.
deed?
We don't do this for nobody else. Just do it the regular way. Commissioner,
Okay.
Commissioner Calvin,
Sir,
sir, if you're gonna make recommendations,
I'm not making a recommendation, I'm asking a question.
guys, the public hearing is closed. Are we gonna open it back up? We need to open it back up for every. If we're gonna open it back up for one side, we need to open it back up for both sides. You can't sit
Okay.
here and
I'm just asking a question.
again, you're asking a question to the public.
I'm
Now-
asking a question to the applicant.
At this time, that's the public.
Okay.
So you can ask a question to Shayna,
Okay,
And you can
Shana,
and you can present it
she
to the
can't
board.
answer that question.
Y'all should work that out.
I recommend, if you want to amend your motion to add those conditions, just do it.
Okay,
Yeah, and
I would
that
like
way
to
the-
amend my
those-
motion to add these conditions and a request that the conditions as approved are included as restrictions in the deed.
And Commissioner Henderson said he was second, his second.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I amend my motion to go.
You mean your second?
I mean my second.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Any more discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Applewhite, so the proposed data center would exist on more than just the 15.56 acres, correct?
That is correct.
So essentially, this is to make the county consistent with the city.
That is correct, yeah.
So is heavy industrial required for a data center?
It is one of the compatible uses, yes.
But is it required?
It would be, sir, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Hey, Ms. Applewhite, I'm sorry, one other question. So we read into the record earlier, or you read into the record earlier, I'm sure at the request of the applicant, that if this were not to pass, then the proposed use would be a truck parking lot. Is that correct?
That was information that I received from the city, that they had filed a land disturbance permit with the city for that purpose as a backup plan.
I've never heard that read into the record, but I that's not you. That's okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Any more discussion? All in favor? Mr. Edwards?
I'm a nay.
Okay, it passes 4-1. Thank you. Ms. Applewhite.
Chairman, our second case this evening, it's a future land use amendment, case number FLU 23-000004. The existing land use map is rural residential. The proposed land use map is industrial. The existing zoning currently is M1 light industrial. The watershed is the Bear Creek. It is located at 1716 Highway 11. Tax ID number, or the map and parcel number, is 0127-005. This is in Commissioner District 5. Current acreage.
Deputies, if y'all don't mind, can y'all please escort them down so we can carry on with the meeting, please? Thank you. Go ahead, Shana.
Yes, the current acreage is 6.04. Owner is Rosemary Montrose Pruitt, and the petitioner is Shane Seeley. The Planning Commission recommended denial for this, and it's actually by a vote of 4-0, that is a typo, on May 23rd, 2023. And the applicant's intent is to designate the future land use of the 6.04 acres to industrial in order to seek a rezoning of the property for a concrete plant. So this is the parcel here that they're seeking the Flume Amendment for. Behind here, we have a solar farm and a transmission station on this end here. And then I believe it's commercial in the corner. So this is the Flume. So the current Flume is rural residential. The Flume adjacent is industrial and utilities next here. And then we have commercial Flume down here. And we have the current zoning. It is currently zoned light industrial M1. Same as the parcel adjacent to it. And it's surrounded by AR and A zoning. And of course, you have a bit of commercial zoning at the node there. This is the watershed location. It's mostly in Bear Creek watershed, just a sliver falls in a little river down there. This is the survey as proposed by the applicant, showing the parcel. Sorry. Oh, I'm going backwards. All right, so we have the survey here. So this is the location of the parcel. So again, they're seeking a future land use amendment from rural residential to industrial. This particular parcel falls in the Highway 11 Preservation Corridor, and this is a rural community tied to the preservation and conservation of its agricultural heritage. Promoting and protecting Highway 11 is a scenic highway corridor and a historic Mansfield through buffer requirements with neighborhood commercial to support their area residents. And the appropriate land uses for this charter area, they're agriculture, residential, neighborhood commercial, parks and rec, and conservation. In conclusion, a total of 6.04 acres is currently zoned and used as for pallet storage. It's currently zoned light industrial, M1. Pursuant to the Highway 11 Preservation Corridor Charter Area's recommended land uses, however, industrial flume is not an appropriate land use request. So that charter area does not support this industrial request. This is a map amendment, so there are no recommendations at this time. However, should the board approve it, it comes before you again for the rezoning. The recommendations can be applied at that time. And yeah, we have, that's it. Are there any questions for staff? Then I believe the applicant is here.
Thank you. We're going to go ahead and open it up for the public hearing. For the applicant and those that would like to speak in favor tonight, you have 10 minutes to do so. If you would, please come at this time, state your name, your address for the record, please. The applicant and those that would like to speak in favor tonight. Yeah. Ms. Applewhite, this is the one that wasn't here?
No, sir.
This is not the one? Okay. Okay. The applicant and those that would like to speak in favor tonight. That portion of our public hearing is closed. We also allow 10 minutes for those that would like to oppose tonight. If you would, please come at this time and state your name and your address for the record, please.
Good evening. Thank you for this time. My name is Scarlett Rogers. I reside at 2071 Highway 142. I own 25 acres, which is less than 900 feet from this property. This property that been proposed for this concrete plant, everything within that from Highway 11, because of the topography, flows onto my property and into my lake, which is the head of East Bear Creek, which flows into Jackson Lake and several other people's lakes and rivers and streams that are along the way. My concern with this is not only the environmental toxicity of this concrete plants by the EPA. It is one of the top 3 toxic industrial manufacturers of airborne toxicity, water, and noise and light pollution. They run 24/7. This is proposed a full-fledged concrete plant. And I hear the noise and see the traffic on Highway 11 from my bedroom window, my sunroom, and my living room. I would not only hear, see, and smell and everything from this plant, not including my neighbors. There are 5 residential properties within 900 feet of this property, an additional 2 within 1,000. I have a map that, and I've got the scientific studies that they've done on concrete plants, and the hazard is within 5 miles, high-risk hazards, and it goes out to 20 miles. So I oppose this, and I would like to reserve any other time for any rebuttal or questions that you have for this, but I want to give everybody else time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to oppose tonight?
My name's David Norton. I reside at 4357 Highway 142 in the city limits of New Bern. I'm here to oppose this plant. It's a unsuitable area for it. There is no other heavy industrial close. Directly behind it sits one of the prettiest ponds in Newton County. And I believe if this is approved, it will open the Pandora's box for more such businesses in the area. which we do not need. I live right in the city limits of 142, speed limit's 35. My mailbox sits just this far from the pavement. I have to be extremely careful of traffic just to retrieve my mail. Over the past 10 years, the tractor-trailer traffic has increased. I don't know how much. I know a lot. I don't have a number. And a lot of them do not pay much attention to the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. We just, in my opinion, we do not need this type of industry in this area close to New Bern and Mansfield. Like I said, it will open up for more such areas, and New Bern and Mansfield will go the way of Grayson and Gwinnett eventually, where it's the only way you know it's there is a street sign. And therefore, I'm opposed. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
Hello, good evening. My name is Monica Sagastazado Davis. I live at 3524 Highway 213, Mansfield, Georgia. And I'm also in opposition because this request that the applicant has is not consistent with the future land use map. When the future land use map and the comprehensive plan was adopted, stakeholders were brought in, and that area, they decided that they wanted it to be rural residential, and it's also not consistent with the character areas for that area. And so because of that, I'm in opposition.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening.
Good evening.
We are the Buckhalls that live at 2163 Highway 142, and the kind gentleman that referred to one of the prettiest ponds in the county that it backs up to is ours. Keith has his thing. My worry is that there's a big buffer, 150-foot impervious buffer, and 100-foot pervious, non-pervious buffer. I'm getting too excited here. That feeds in and protects the underground springs that fill our pond. They are proposing some type of detention pond that's going to be right down. It's going to be in our water's door. We're very concerned about contamination in our pond. That is mine, not amongst the other things, but how it will affect the pond on our property.
If I can say something, if you look at this plat that's up here now, I don't know how to work this pointer thing, but down at the bottom left-hand corner, that is the beginning of my pond. And every piece of that property right there flows from right to left down into my pond. And my pond is spring fed. Their proposed plat shows a retention pond at that lower left-hand corner, which is going to hold water and eventually seep into the ground, into my spring water that feeds my pond. So not only just the noise pollution, because I'm right there, butted up to them, the dust pollution. I mean, I've did a little research, and there are people making, not allowing concrete plants within so far from schools and stuff because of the air quality from them. So we're opposed.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you. Did you want that? You don't want that. Anyone else? Five.
My name's Christopher Davis. I live at 3524 Highway 213. That's in Mansfield, Georgia. I just want to point out to the commission that this proposed property is not in alignment with the character area and the appropriate land use area. I just want to reiterate the point that the appropriate land use for this particular property is agriculture, residential, neighborhood, commercial, parks and rec / conservation, not a concrete plant. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you. I'm not good at public speaking. Mary Smith, 1922, Highway 142 East. Just a couple things in the area. Again, it's residential. There's right across the street on Highway 11, there's a large cattle ranch. There are also a number of lakes besides the Buckhalls. I live about a half a mile up. There are probably 3 or 4 lakes in between there. It's gonna, all the dust and the noise will just take away from the rural area.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Bruce Verge. I'm actually a Walton County resident, but I just purchased a property on 142, which is in the process of being rehabbed, 1875. The old Howell estate, the big house that was there. It's been empty and vacant for about 5 years. I'm probably a mile from that property with 2 lakes on the property. I think that the biggest thing to look at is typically when these plants come, they spend 5 or 6 years. They do what they do, and there is a need for concrete plants, but usually when they leave, the property is not usable. There's a lot of things that get left into the ground. So, we purchased that property out there just to kind of bring it back to life, clean up the area. And, I'm definitely opposed to that, even being a business owner in Walton County. I think you guys, with your experience and knowledge, you kind of know where something like this belongs or should be. So I just support, I don't even know these people. I know Scarlett, the first one, but I'm learning the people, but it's definitely probably not the best use for that land. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Anyone else? That portion of our public hearing is closed. Ms. Applewhite? I think this is also in District 5. I think it's Commissioner Cowan. Commissioner Cowan.
You gonna let me talk now?
Go ahead.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to deny this request for zoning.
Second.
You said deny?
Yes.
You said deny. It's been motioned by Commissioner Cowan and I think second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? Commissioner Sanders.
Ms. Director Applewhite, what was I know it's light industrial, but what is the actual building the industry that's going to be there, the product that's going to be sold there, manufactured? Did they state that?
It's just a concrete plant, so that's where they'll be making it, is my understanding.
Okay.
Manufacturing, yeah.
I wanted to just basically make a statement. And the residents came up from that area expressing their concerns and their need for that area. My colleagues, I would love for you to consider also all areas of Newton County. Because in District 3, there's a Lidl plant and there's houses being flooded because that land was disturbed and y'all put that behind $400,000 houses. So if you're gonna do it from one side of town, make sure you think about the people on the west side as well. Thank you.
Any more discussion? All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Edwards, that's what I was looking for. Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Thank
Aye.
you. It failed, thank you. Wait, the project failed. Yeah, the project failed. Yeah, motion to deny. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was 5-0. I think Commissioner, raise your hand. 5-0. 5-0.
Okay. Our Chairman,
Hold on one second. Guys, we're gonna ask you guys to guys, we're still in our board meeting. We're gonna ask if you're gonna exit, please do it quietly. Ms. Applewhite.
Our next case is a rezoning. It is case number REZ 23-000003. The existing land use map is rural residential. The existing zoning is A, agricultural. The proposed zoning would be rural estate, RE. The watershed is Bear Creek. It's located on Poplar Hill Road. Parcel size is 20.99 acres, and the tax ID is 0118040C. This is located in Commission District 1. The current owners are Jerry C. and Hilda Prosser and Newt Stephen and Carol Ann Biggers. The petitioner and representative is Charles Wiggins. Just a brief history. The Planning Commission recommended the approval of the flume for this parcel from AF to rural residential on February 28th. The Board of Commissioners also approved that flume from AF to rural residential on March 21st, 2023. And the Planning Commission recommended approval of the rezoning from A to RE on May 23rd, 2023. And again, the applicant's intent is to rezone the 20.99 acres from A, agricultural, to RE, rural estate, in order to subdivide the property for family members. And just some more information on the site, 20.99 acres with zoning of A. It's currently undeveloped family estate land. The site plan analysis, based on what was submitted to the department back in April, the staff offers the following considerations. So the land use and density. The applicant is proposing to use the land for a residential estate or for residential purposes for a family. The proposed use reflects the rural residential designation on the land use plan and is consistent with the applicant's request. So given the existing zoning and development in the area, the proposed zoning may be appropriate for this area. Given the designation on the flume of RR, staff is of the opinion that the rezoning to rural estate may be appropriate for the use on this land. Recommended conditions. So should the petition be recommended for approval by the board, it should be approved rural estate, conditional, subject to the owner's agreement to the following conditions. One, to the owner's agreement to restrict the use to the following. A, the parcel shall be used for a family estate. B, a minor plat to create new lots shall be submitted and reviewed for approval by Development Services. And C, all permits must be obtained from Development Services prior to any building or development. So this is the parcel here, this portion at the bottom, right? All of this appears already part of the family estate, and they're just looking to add this part as well, to subdivide this part as well. So we have the current zoning, it's zoned A right now. The remainder, they're moving it over to a rural estate, which is this lighter green. The future land use map, it has already been changed over to the light yellow rural estate. It hasn't been updated yet in Q Public, but that was already approved to rural residential. It's in the Bear Creek watershed. This is the survey showing the boundary of the area, the 20 acres, and this is the proposed subdivision they're looking at. So they're looking at 4 lots, 4 tracts to subdivide it into. What's going on? Okay. And yeah, and if there are any questions for staff, if not, I believe the applicant is here.
Thank you, Ms. Applewhite. We're going to go ahead and open it up for our public hearing now. The applicant and those in favor, you have 10 minutes to come up and speak. You may do it now. Please state your name and your address for the record, please. The applicant and those in favor.
Good evening, Chairman Baines,
Good
Board.
evening.
I just wanted to kind of echo what Ms. Applewhite had mentioned. This is just kind of the final step in getting it rezoned to where we can utilize it just as family heirs. So just taking it from agriculture to RE to where we can use it and maybe build some future homes on. So, and that's it, and I sure do appreciate everyone's consideration.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to speak in favor tonight? Anyone else that would like to speak in favor tonight? That portion of our public hearing is closed. We also allow 10 minutes for those that would like to oppose tonight. You may come at this time. Please state your name and address for the record, please. Anyone that would like to oppose tonight? Anyone that would like to oppose tonight? Anyone that would like to oppose tonight? That portion of our public hearing is closed. Ms. Applewhite. Commissioner Edwards, I think this is you. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to, motion in favor of REZ 23-000003 as stated.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Mason. Any discussion? Commissioner Cowell?
I'm gonna have to abstain because I did some of the legal work on the estate.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Mr. Edwards, Commissioner Edwards?
I'm an aye.
Thank you. It passed 4-1 extension. Commissioner Cowell. Ms. Applewhite.
Thank you, Chairman. Our final case this evening, case number is also a rezoning, case number REZ 23-000005. The existing land use map is a development node. The existing zoning is neighborhood commercial, Salem overlay tier 2. And the proposed zoning would be general commercial and still in the Salem overlay tier 2. It is in the South River watershed. Current location is 13161 Bronx Road. The parcel is 1 acre, tax ID 0013130D, located in District 2, Commissioner District 2. The owner is listed as 9th Legacy LLC, and the petitioner and representative is Baxter Buchildon. History on 5/23, the Planning Commission recommended approval, and again, this is by a vote of 4-0. And the applicant's intent is to rezone the 1 acre parcel from neighborhood commercial to general commercial in order to accommodate a variety of commercial uses. And again, it's located on Bronx Road, 1 acre, Salem overlay tier 2, which is currently moderate commercial. It currently has offices and office suites in there. I think there's an insurance company right now, and so he's currently using it for office uses right now. And based on the site plan that was submitted on April 6th by the applicant to staff, we offer the following considerations: land use and density. The applicant is proposing to use the land for the commercial uses compatible with the Salem overlay. And the proposed uses, or the proposed use, reflects the development node designation of the land use plan, and it is consistent with the applicant's request. And given the existing zoning and development in the area, the proposed zoning may be appropriate for this area. And in conclusion, given the designation of the future land use map, or the FLUME, as DN, development node, staff is of the opinion that the rezoning to general commercial may be appropriate for the commercial use in the area, since the parcel already caters to a commercial use. And it is located on a major artery, Salem Road. Recommended conditions. So should the petition be recommended for approval by the board, it should be approved general commercial, conditional and subject to the owner's agreement to the following conditions. And 1, to the owner's agreement to restrict the use to the following, or as follows. So all permits and licenses must be obtained from development services prior to any kind of build out or development, further development on the land, and it must comply with all the requirements of the Salem overlay. So this is where the parcel is located in Salem Road. I think just over the road you have the Legends at Ellington. The current zoning is neighborhood commercial, and then you have OI in office institutional next to it, and commercial. This is actually general commercial on this end here, and this is general commercial up here as well. And then you have the yellows residential, and over here it's a PUD or CORD, which is the Legends at Ellington. Development node is the majority of this area here. Is in the South River watershed. This is a survey submitted by the applicant, and this is the current layout with the building, parking, so it's pretty much an established business location right now. And this is what the building looks like. Chairman, this is open for a public hearing. Unfortunately, the applicant had an emergency for a family member. However, if there is anyone else here who would like to speak in favor, it is open for a public hearing. No. That's okay.
Thank you. We're going to open it up now for our public hearing. Anyone that want to speak in favor tonight, You may come at this time. Please state your name and your address. Anyone that want to speak in favor? And you said the applicant couldn't, he had medical issues. Okay. You want to move forward? Yep. That's District 2. Anyone that want to speak in favor tonight? Anyone would like to speak in favor tonight? That portion of our public hearing is closed. We also allow 10 minutes for those that would like to oppose tonight. You may come at this time. Please state your name and address for the record, please. Anyone that would like to oppose tonight? Anyone that would like to oppose tonight? That portion of our public hearing is closed. Ms. Applewhite, if you would, please come back up. This is in District 2. Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to go ahead and make a motion to approve zoning REZ 23-000005.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Mason and second by Commissioner Cowan. Any discussion? Commissioner Sanders.
Just expound a little bit more on why we're going from the CN to the CG.
Absolutely. So the neighborhood commercial, the general commercial allows additional commercial uses to go there. So for example, there was interest for a dentist office to go there. It won't be allowed under the neighborhood commercial. However, if they bump it up to general commercial, it isn't allowed use at that point. So it's not just the zoning, it's also the Salem overlay tier that would prevent, like, a dental office from going there, which is, a use that is compatible with that location. So he wanted to just make the property more available to other types of commercial uses.
You said the Salem overlay prevents that?
Yes, it doesn't, yeah, for that zoning, yeah, it's not.
So do you know a reason why they put that in place?
I am not sure.
Because I know there's reasons why they created these overlays.
Yeah, I am not sure why they did it for that zoning, but in the Kroger Shopping Center, we have a dialysis center there, which is literally just around the corner. When you come around not the Kroger, the shopping center, yeah. So there's a dialysis center nearby in the same overlay, but they have the general commercial zoning for it. So it's just, some of the, he's just going one step up in the commercial. It's not the highest commercial. It's still general. It's not highway commercial. So you won't have those stricter or harsher commercial uses there. It'll still be limited. It just opens it up a little bit more to make it more marketable.
Thank you. Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just to clarify, the Salem overlay does not put major restrictions on the general commercial, just the neighborhood commercial.
It has different restrictions,
Okay.
I should say, yeah.
Okay, so different restrictions.
Yes.
From the neighborhood commercial to the general commercial.
That is correct.
But most of the commercial around that area is general commercial already, correct?
So the Flume is development node, so it is going in the direction of commercial development. So at the junction here of Salem and Brownbridge, this is all the pinks and the reds, those are all commercial zonings. Even on the same parcel here, this is neighborhood, right next door it's general commercial over here, and then the office institutional in the middle.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Thank you. It passed 5-0. Thank you so much, Ms. Applewhite. Next, we are going back to first page, the consent agenda. We do have one board appointment, Ms. Liz Alexander. Is being appointed in District 1 Animal Control Board. Are you here tonight? We do want to say thank you for your service. We greatly appreciate you dedicating your time and your talents to this community. With that being said, Commissioners, I seek a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Been motion by Commissioner Henderson and second by Commissioner Mason. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Thank you. It passes 5-0. Ms. Hamp?
Good evening, Mr. Chair. The next item on the agenda are the items for discussion and consideration. We're at item number 9 at this time. The county manager and our finance is going to address Piedmont Newton Hospital funding request.
Thank you. Mr. Cooper?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As this board knows, Piedmont Newton came before this board a few months ago expressing the need for additional resources to be allocated to their hospital. As a result of that, Brittany and I have talked and worked diligently to find potential funding sources. And as a result, we've come up with 2 options, and I'm going to afford her the opportunity to talk about those options, but also, too, I know that we have Dr. Little here from Piedmont Newton, and he could also come up and reiterate the reasons why the funds are needed.
Okay.
Good evening. And I very much appreciate the opportunity to speak with you again. A few months ago, as you know, I came and requested a need for additional beds for the facility. We've experienced a very significant increase in volume, especially since the pandemic, and it has resulted in increased stress on the hospital related to sufficient inpatient beds, and we frequently have patients that end up holding in the emergency room for certainly overnight, maybe a couple of days sometimes because of insufficient bed capacity. And so we developed a plan to repurpose some existing building for 12 additional inpatient beds, which doesn't require us to build new brick and mortar, and the cost of that project was going to be around $2.2 million. So we came initially asking for ARPA funds, and the commission graciously made a recommendation to provide funding for that project, but not necessarily from that source. So we are prepared and ready to move forward with that project. Just awaiting the county and the commission's decisions around the funding. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Thank you. Brittany, you have anything else? Go ahead.
So tonight I have 3 proposed funding sources for this project. So originally, when the hospital came, they did ask to utilize ARPA funds. We do currently have right around $4.4 million unallocated in ARPA funds. So my first proposal would be the ARPA funds, because that is a valid use of ARPA. If that is not the direction that the board wishes to go, the second proposal would be to utilize our interest revenue that we have occurred in the FY23 budget. So our interest revenue has come in greatly higher than what we anticipated due to the interest rates being higher. So the proposal for that would be to utilize $1.1 million in our interest revenue that was not budgeted for. So that would come from the general fund. And then the remaining 1.1 would come from the ARPA funds. The third proposal would be to utilize the same 1.1 million from general fund, and then just to have the hospital fund the other half.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner, do you have any questions? Commissioner Sanders?
My well, not concern. I thought that we were going to talk to the city of Covington to do a 50-50 split of this cost.
We did that. They don't want to participate.
So the whole bulk of it is going to be on the county.
Yeah.
So that's my only, well, that is a concern. That's my only, my concern, because the whole bulk of the responsibility is gonna be the county when the incorporated areas also utilize the hospital, which they should have something to put into this. Because if you look at the tax dollars that are coming into the county, the sales tax and majority of the expenses go to the city, not Newton County, because we don't have as much economic development sales taxes that are coming into our county. Hotel tax, everything comes into the city. So all the responsibility is gonna be on the county. That's my only concern.
Anyone else? Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. I think, myself personally, I think this is something that we have to do for our citizens. And you just look at it, at the end of the day, it falls on this board, the County Board of Commissioners. Whether we want to believe it or not, we are the top government in the county. And when something is needed, as in the hospital or expansion, whereas our citizens, most of us have to use, then we're responsible to make sure those upgrade happens. And I just said, thank you, Ms. Brittany. I think you gave a great idea. It's just one question I asked. If the board chooses to take that 1.1 from the Arthur Fund, what would it do to our proposed, allocation that we're already doing?
So you currently have unallocated 4.4. So if you utilize 1.1 from the ARPA funds, then that would bring you down to 3.3 unallocated.
Thank you. Can I get a you had a question? Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make the motion that we go with option number 2, where we utilize $1.1 million of the interest revenue and $1.1 million in ARPA funding.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Mason and second by Commissioner Edwards. Any more discussion? Commissioner Sanders.
I just want to make sure, because I know that we just put a discussion on the agenda in regards to increasing the senior home repair to $30,000. So that's messing with ARPA. I just want us to remember that. And that might get voted on tonight.
And
so that means that
$3.3 million left.
Hold on, guys.
Wait, what's going on?
Hold on, guys. Hold on, guys. Go ahead and finish.
Oh, my. Okay, thank you, Jesus. Okay, so that's my concern is regards to that. So if we had how many applicants that applied? Almost 300 applicants, and if you're adding on additional 15,000, if they come back to add on to their application because they have more repairs, that's what we're looking at. I'm not against us giving money to the hospital. I just want to make sure that whatever we're putting in place is covered based on what ARPA is supposed to be utilized for.
So, Brittany, how much did we have set aside for the senior home improvement?
Was it $1 million? Yeah, $1 million.
It's $1 million?
Mm-hmm.
So if we go up, if we double that, we're going to
two.
go up another $1 million, so they'll be covered?
Yeah, so then if you went up another $1 million there, and then the 1.1 here, so that would drop you down to what, 2.3?
But the seniors will be covered, that's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay.
The application process hasn't closed, Mr. Chairman, and they got more seniors applying.
No, so it's a dollar amount that's been set aside for the seniors. And so Commissioner Cowan asked earlier, could we double that amount, move it up to 30,000?
Right.
So if we do that, Brittany's saying, the finance director saying that we got that covered if we decide to do that tonight. That's what she's saying.
Yeah, I get that point, but what I'm saying is the application process for this has not been closed. We have 300 now. I just had a resident contact me, come speak to their entire subdivision for their seniors. So there's gonna be more seniors applying is what I'm stating to you all. So once these, okay, y'all got the 3. I'm just wanna make sure that we cover the community.
Yeah. But we're not gonna.
I know simple math. I graduated.
Listen, we're not gonna go back and forth tonight. But we're going to ask the finance director again, is the seniors covered from the proposal that Commissioner Cowan made earlier?
If you keep it in the border of the 1 million and you double, then you're at 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. Any more discussion? All in favor? It's already second?
It was already second.
All in favor? Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
It passes 4-1, one extension. Can you state your reason? Got to be a legal reason, Patrick.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Go ahead and state it.
Oh, I'm sorry. As stated, I'm not against the payment of the Piedmont. I'm not against the payment to our hospital, but in utilize of ARPA and what we stated that we was going to utilize these funds for our residents, that's what I'm against. So that's why I abstained from that vote, because as mentioned, I cannot vote for it because what we mentioned in the beginning on how we're going to utilize these funds to our residents in Newton County.
So, Commissioner, abstentions are utilized when there's a legal prohibition from voting. If you feel that your personal interests conflict, then that would be an appropriate basis for abstention. But disagreeing in part, but not disagreeing in part, I mean, which is kind of what I'm hearing, is not a basis for an abstention. It's a basis for a difficult vote, I would say.
It is a difficult vote because I am not against what he's stating, but I can't vote for it because I'm against utilizing the ARPA funds.
Then I think the appropriate vote, because it includes something you're opposed to, would be a vote no.
Thank you. It passes. Go ahead.
And if I get, before you move on, if I could add, because we're going to be utilizing ARPA funds, we're going to need to create an agreement with the hospital, and we'll have that ready for the board's consideration, probably at the next board meeting, subject to our ability to get it reviewed by the hospital as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Ms. Brittany.
The next item is just a simple budget transfer. So the elections department, they purchased a Dominion scanner machine, and they had coded it incorrectly to technical services, but it's actually an item, so we need to capitalize this. So this is just moving the money from technical service to capital, and since we're moving to capital, it requires board of approval. So they are moving $10,000 from their technical services line item over to the other equipment. Any questions?
Can I get a motion, please?
So moved as stated by the finance director.
Commissioner Cowan made a motion. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. It's been motioned by Commissioner Cowan and second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Is that you? Thank you.
Oh, got another on the next one too.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. For the next item, this is Resolution R 2023-0620. So this is essentially a contingency amendment to the drinking water grant that was approved by the board in February. So the state has come in and allowed a 10% contingency on these ARPA grants due to just rising costs. So that 10% comes out to $21.2 million. So that just takes the total revised grant from $212 million to $234 million.
Can I get a motion, please? Thank you. It's been motioned by Commissioner Henderson and second by Commissioner Mason. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Thank you. It passes 5-0.
So the next item is the May 2023 financials. May is the 11th month of our fiscal year, so we are getting close to wrapping up our fiscal year within the next 10 days. So May puts us roughly around 92% through our fiscal year. So I will start with general fund revenues. At this date, we had collected $83.7 million in revenues, so that does put us at 98.67. I do anticipate us to collect a little bit over what we had budgeted, but for example, that interest income budget amendment we did for the hospital would come from the excess funds there. So our general fund revenue to date, this is just a graph that shows the per month breakdown, and then the below shows the actuals to budgeted revenues. Our general fund expenditures to date, we have spent $75 million, so that puts us at 87.78. So we're trending just a few percentage points below what our actual budget was. And this graph just shows the per month breakdown and then the actuals to budget. So today, our general fund totals, our revenues are 8.6 over, but we should progressively see that gap tighten up as we go on through the rest of the fiscal year. Our three enterprise funds, our water fund, their revenue to date is $8.9 million. Their expenses to date are $6.2 million. Solid waste fund, their revenue to date is $6.8 million, expenses $5.4 million. And our Gaithers and Factory Shoals fund, revenue to date is $261,000, expenses to date $228,000. We have three current SPLOS. The 2011 SPLOS has one project remaining, which is the historic jail. Our 2017 SPLOS has several active projects. The total fund balance there is $34.3 million. We have 2 more months to collect on this SPLOS, so as of now, the total SPLOS collections is $97.2 million. 2023 SPLOS, the collections have not started yet, but that project, we have some projects there that are bonded, and those bonded projects are currently in the works now. And then in our impact fee fund, we have a current balance of $4.7 million there. Any questions?
Thank you, Brittany. Any questions, guys? Commissioner Henderson?
Question that I have, and I guess you just kind of Gaithers. And I think you said we collected how much, $200,000, $300,000? Could you just kind of hit me out a little bit and go with it once again, please, ma'am?
It's the Gaithers and the Factory Shoals fund, so they're both encompassed in that one fund. And their revenue to date is $261,000.
So how much are we at this point potentially requesting from the budget that we're going to create? I think 24 budget. So
in the FY24 budget, numbers off the top of my head, I think Gaithers was right around 70,000 and Factory Shoals was 134,000.
okay, so and I guess the question I'm asking the board: why are we continuously pumping money into Gaithers, especially when it can take care of itself? Okay.
I mean, y'all having a conversation over there by yourself? Go ahead. No, go ahead, Commissioner Sanders.
Actually, on the budget, because that's what my question was to you, on the budget, when you click on Factory Shoals, it comes up Gaithers, which is $146,000, and then there's a link for Gaithers that comes up. The budget for Gaithers is $203,000 on the 2023 budget.
The total fund budget, and then the totals I just gave was the general fund contribution.
Okay. So I get what Commissioner Henderson is stating, that if there's money that's coming in, then why is the budget funding it? That money should be, because the government is not in business to make a profit. That's not what it's set up for. So if Gaithers is making a profit, then it should be taking care of itself. Because as we stated, this has been an issue for years. Before I even came on the board, the petition is still constantly being signed. The residents, taxpayers, have an issue with paying for it. So I get what he's stating in regards to that. If it's making money, then it needs to pay for itself, because that's the amount of money we're budgeting.
Thank you. Anyone else? Thank you so much. Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you.
Next is.
Miss-
Go ahead, Mr. I'm gonna use Chairman's privilege tonight to move item 13 down to. We're gonna do it after 9A. Mr. Bertram had to step out for a moment. We're gonna move it we're gonna move it down after 19A. So after 19A, we'll do 13. We'll come back to 13.
Okay, Mr. Chair, we're at item number 14 at this time, solid waste, resolution R 2023-0620, approving the second modification of promissory note and loan agreement. Mr. Matt Dolan, our director, is presenting the loan amount $4,619,500.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, everyone. So this is the GFA loan that was started in June of 21. It was supposed to be closed out in December of 22. Due to unforeseen weather circumstances and construction delays and some added projects to the loan, it was extended and is supposed to be closed out in June of 23, so next month. All paperwork will be due by November 1st. So this is, we just amended the GFA loan and requested an extension, and it just has to come to the commission for, to go back to GFA.
Thank you, sir. I seek a motion, please.
Move it, stated by the solid waste director.
Can I get a, Commissioner Cowan made a motion. Can I get a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, sir. Been motion by Commissioner Cowan, second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. It passes 4-1. Thank you, sir.
Yes, have a good evening. Thank you.
Commissioner Henderson.
Mr. Chair, we're at item number 15, Recreation and Purchasing, requesting approve of EBH Holding Incorporated contract for Chimney Park's Treehouse. Our presenter this evening is Director Dwayne Mask. The contractor is EBH Holding Incorporated. The funding source is the 2023 SPLOS, and yes, it's budgeted.
Good evening, sir.
Hey, good evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. So I'm mainly the presenter tonight. This is Ms. Jean. She is with the Chimney Park Board. She has served with them for, so any questions, I'm going to let her answer them because she's going to give you a better idea than I can. But I'm pretty sure this is also a 2017 SPLOS project. And so we're just seeking approval tonight for them to be able to move forward with this treehouse at Chimney Park. And any questions, I'll let Ms. Jean answer them.
Thank you. Let me get a motion on the floor first. No, it's 2017, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Can I get a motion, please? So moved. Can I get a second? Second. It's been motioned by Commissioner Mason and second by Commissioner Cowan. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Edwards?
Aye.
Thank you. The pass 5-0. Thanks so much.
Thank
you.
And Mr. Chair, just for record purposes, you did indicate it is for the 2017 SPLOST, not 2023.
Yes.
Thank you. We are at number 16 at this time. Our county attorney for discussion and consideration for the third amendment to the real estate sales agreement between J. Williams, Newton Land Investments, LLC, and the City of Covington.
And with the chair's permission, I'll just present from up here. It's a relatively simple contract amendment. You will recall that the city and county, City of Covington and the county jointly own some property. This is to the south of the zoning you did for the data center earlier, and it's connected to the larger industrial project. The city and the county entered into an agreement by which the city would sell this property, portions of this property, and the proceeds would be split evenly between the county and the city. That contract was entered into about a year ago. It had deadlines for development to progress and permits to be issued and things like that. And it has been delayed on account of a number of reasons, including the annexation, the zoning process. But most importantly for our purposes tonight, there was a change from Georgia DOT regarding where the entrance on Highway 142 would be. So that necessitated a redrawing of the plans. So there's a proposed contract amendment now that everything stays the same except the closing date. The closing date will now be February of 2024. The prior closing date was contingent upon issuance of development approvals and all of those things. They're far enough along now that the only amendment to the contract for our purposes is the closing date in February 24. There are some other amendments to the contract that really apply to the city. there was an effort to change the portion of the property the city was selling. That's none of our business, that's between them and the city. So that's the proposal for you today, and I would recommend you approve the third amendment to the contract between J. Williams, Newton Land, and the city of Covington. Although we're not parties to the contract, we really are because we own a beneficial interest in the property.
Seek a motion, please. Is there a second? Is there a second? It's been motioned by Commissioner Henderson and second by Commissioner Cowan. Any discussion?
Nothing to do with annexation. This is the same property. This is on the very southern end of that larger development.
This is where, Georgia Lady?
Yes. The road you see, that's American Way, kind of on the bottom left. So this property has been the property subject to this purchase from the beginning. And it is completely unrelated to the proposed annexation. This property is already within the city limits. That's correct. The very bottom part you see, there's an odd rectangle on the bottom left of the parcel. That will be where a new road enters, and then it'll turn to the left and head northward towards the data center property. It will service the entire industrial park. American Way currently is a cul-de-sac. Well, they were going to cul-de-sac it. Eventually, American Way, when the new road is in, will probably be abandoned and go away. That's correct. They would have to, this would be the source of their concern. That's right.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Any, Commissioner Edwards?
I'm a nay.
Thank you. It passes 4-1.
Mr. Chair, we're at number 17, Public Works. Our presenter is Mr. Chester Clegg, Director of Public Works, requesting Board of Commissioner approval of the Cedar Shoals Development Bond Agreement with Cedar Shoals Project, LLC. It is time sensitive for June 20th, end of business day. Management and operating is only $20,000 annually. Once the traffic signal is installed, it is budgeted, and the funding source is general fund.
Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a bond agreement. Normally it goes through planning and development. Sheena would handle it, but this is so complex that I had Jeff Strickland at Gerard and Davis ask him to draw up a contract. And it is for the road improvements to be done on the bypass and also a future traffic signal. And the developer is paying for all the construction for the project.
Thank you, sir. I seek a motion, please.
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Mason and second by Commissioner Cowan. Any discussion? Commissioner Cowan.
Yes, sir. That is it's the development there between. That's correct. They're putting in a parkway between 81 Washington Street and the bypass, and they'll pay for that.
Anyone else? All in favor? Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Thank you. Passes 5-0.
Chairman, we're on number 18. Mr. Chester Clegg is also going to do 18 and 19. This particular one is for the Board of Commissioners contract with Summit Construction and Development, LLC, for the Brown Bridge Road striping and rumble strip project. Number 19, I'll just go over and Chester can confirm the rest. Requesting approval of the board to contract with GDOT to oversee construction funding of the access road at I-20 from west of Curl Road and east of Harold Dobbs Road project.
Thank you, sir.
The first of the two projects is just a restriping and cutting rumble strips on the sides and center of Brown Bridge Road. And we got 3 quotes per state law and our purchasing policy. And it came in at, I think it was $178,000.
Thank you. I seek a motion, please.
So moved.
Thank you. Can I get a second? Second. It's been motioned by Commissioner Mason and second by Commissioner Cowell. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Thank you. It passes 5-0. Chester.
And the final project is the bypass at Coral Road and I-20 on the access road. And the board has awarded the contract to Summit Construction, but our county manager asked me to just let you know that our department was able to secure an extra $4.6 million from ARC for this project and one other project, the Yellow River Bridge replacement. So we're excited about that. That puts this project at 90% funded, which is really unheard of for a GDOT project. Usually it's 80-20. So this will be 90% funded. If you remember, our cost estimate was $4.2 million, and it came in at $7.5 million.
Great
so that's
work.
where the extra money is going. So
Great work, great work.
well, thank you. So this, my request is to enter into agreement with GDOT, like we do with all of our federal funded projects, to manage I guess manage the county, the contract with Summit.
Thank you, sir. I seek a motion, please.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Henderson and second by Commissioner Mason. Any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Thank you. Pass 5-0. Thank you so much.
Chairman, we are at item number 19A. Commissioner Cowan requested that we discuss an increase in the senior assistance ARPA budget amount.
Thank you. We're going to ask, you want to do it? You want Brittany to come up? Brittany, would you like to come on up, please? So we have any questions, we can bounce them off of you and the county manager. Commissioner Cowan, would you like to state your acts just one more time? You want to state what you was asking for one more time?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't think $15,000 is sufficient to accommodate some of the needs that people have with their homes. Cost of materials going up, cost of labor's going up. I think the number needs to be at least $30,000.
Thank you. You making that in the form of a motion, is that correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Cowan, second by Commissioner Mason. I'm gonna, what, you got something?
If you don't mind me.
Go ahead, sir.
I think it would be a good idea when you do this to also have a maximum amount of money that will go into that pot. Before, there was $1 million limit. So if you're considering doubling the per senior limit, I would recommend you establish a cap.
Okay, you want me to make a motion?
I think that would be a good idea.
Okay, the motion would be to double what we have. You mentioned something about $1 million allowed for that. Let's double that to $2 million and move forward from there.
Second.
Just have it open,
Yeah.
you can do that. I mean, I think
I would like the board to consider that anybody that qualifies can apply for these funds. Anybody.
without a maximum cap on the amount of money that will be.
No, anybody that qualifies, 55 and over, as long as they meet the age limit, and as long as they meet the financial limit, that they can qualify.
Okay.
Commissioner Sanders?
What is the difference between, I thought that was already in place. What's the difference?
It's not in place. I think.
It says 55 and older, low income, and I think it has the stipulation as far as what they can. Now we have that in place. 'Cause at first it wasn't in place, whether it's a roof or a deck or whatever. But now that's in place. But
I want to make sure that's for any citizen in the county.
which you mean don't include low income? Is that what you're saying?
No. We need to keep the criteria the same, but we want to make sure that any citizen in the county can apply.
My question is,
In a senior. any senior.
So were there some seniors excluded? That's what my question is, because I'm confused.
I just want to make sure, because any citizen, any senior in the community can apply.
Are we saying any senior that meet the low-income
Yes.
criteria? So the criteria that we have in place?
Yeah, but any senior can apply.
So the criteria we have in place is correct, so there's nothing you're adding to it or
No.
changing?
Nope. I just want any senior to be able to apply.
Oh, okay. I thought something was wrong with what we had.
Yep. Yep. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. And this is to the county manager, Mr. Cooper. I think there's a certain amount of people who have already applied for it and possibly have received it or going to receive the $15,000.
That needs to go back. I'm gonna jump in right quick.
Okay.
That needs to go to $30,000 as well.
Well, this is what I'm saying. So there needs to be something, I guess, put back out saying that you have been approved for the $15,000, but you can request or you can receive additional funding for maybe a little bit more repair on to your home.
If the board approves this motion tonight, the necessary adjustments with the language will be out tomorrow in reference to whatever adjustments we need to make to get the word out and get the appropriate information out to all parties.
Okay, so I guess my last question, if I may, my last question is, have anybody received $15,000?
Not yet. I mean, how many approved?
We have 8 approvals
Yeah.
right now, and the process is starting in terms of the disbursements, but no disbursements have been made.
Okay, let me ask this question. If you got a valid contractor, he goes out there and makes an assessment of a house, and that house, for what the people need, comes back $10,000, then they get $10,000, they don't get 30 to put in their pocket. They get 10. But based on if somebody has more, they can go up to 30, but the goal is not to give everybody $30,000. The goal is to meet their needs based on what's going on with their home, is my understanding of everything. Is that right?
Yeah, but
Go ahead.
But we know, Commissioner Cowan, once we put that 30 out, everybody's gonna make sure they look for everything in their house that's $30,000. I'm just gonna be honest with you. But I'm glad that we increased that rate, but my concern with our projects is they're not detailed enough. We have to detail, it has to be specific. That's why we're having issues now and conversations going back with our consultant, because the language is not detailed. Because the commissioners are thinking one thing and the consultant is thinking the other. They're telling constituents one thing, the constituents come to us complaining, and when we go tell the consultant, it's attitudes going back and forth, and that should not be happening. So it's because the language is not detailed and clear. So we may need to get the consultant back in front of us to make sure it is detailed and clear that everybody's on the same page, because these constituents are calling us. They're not calling Mr. County Manager, they're not calling nobody, they're calling us complaining. So we have to make sure it is detailed, item, line by line, because these constituents are gonna challenge you. And if it looks discriminatory or look whatever, we're gonna have some lawsuits. So we need to make sure this thing is detailed.
It is the intention of the consultant to be present during the next board meeting.
Let me jump in for a quick second. I think we need to table this. Let me tell you why. Because I think a couple of you are right. We do need to make sure that we have the language correct in here, and the amount. We need to make sure that the 8 people that Commissioner Henderson just asked about are able to go back and get other estimates. Because I mean, they was told 15, so they need to go back and get other estimates to. Because they're gonna do it anyway, so you might well put it out there. They go get other estimates that may come up to $30,000 or less, but they need to have the same opportunity. So I think we need to table this until the next board meeting, And I also want to ask that every senior, 55 and above, is able to apply for this, as long as they meet the criteria. That's all I'm asking. But I really would hope that we would table this until we can get Shannon here at the next board meeting. I can't make a motion, but one of y'all can make a motion.
I just want to know, is there any issues while you're bringing it up? Because I'm curious.
'Cause I'm gonna put nobody out there. I just think that every senior should be able to apply as long as they qualify.
Okay, so it seems like to me, Elena Sanders is going to say it, that somebody was told they could not qualify. So that language should be in there. We're the government. We cannot do this not right.
But I need a motion to table this until Kennedy gets here. Can I get a motion to table this until?
Substitute motion to table for 30 days.
He made a substitute motion. Can I get a second? Thank you. It was a substitute motion was made by Commissioner Edwards, and it was second by Commissioner Cowan, that we table this until the next board meeting. He said 30 days? Well, and up to 30 days, but it can be at the next meeting, so.
Chairman.
Correct me if I'm wrong, the next board meeting is July 18th?
No, July 4th. We need to look at that.
There's no July 4th meeting.
No, it won't be July 4th. I think we already voted on that when we.
You established it.
Yeah, we established it already. Yeah, the 18th.
So, Mr. Chairman, my question is going to be.
Hold on, because I want to bear that.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My question is going to be, so what's happening with the applicants that's current? Are we stopping it? So what are we doing?
To me, and I think Commissioner Henderson made a good point, I think we need to allow them to go out and get other bids, because they may have something else that's needed fixing in their home that they didn't want to. If I got a chance to get my bathroom fixed or my AC fixed, I'm probably gonna go with my bathroom because I need it. I gotta have it. Now you got an opportunity to get your AC fixed that you didn't have it the first time. You see what I'm saying? So we need to allow them to come back and reapply for the 30,000, or not reapply, but submit other estimates. They ain't got to reapply, but they need to submit other estimates. Yep, Mr. Cooper.
So the 371 applicants we have in the queue right now, the 51 that are being processed and the 8 that were approved, are we suspending actions right now?
I don't think you suspend it. So, guys, I don't think you suspend the actions. I think that'd be unreasonable to do that. But I do think you allow them to go and get 2 more estimates and allow them to submit it up to $30,000, because the board's going to approve $30,000 worth of funding. They already said, they pretty much said that tonight. So they need to go back and get 2 more, two more estimates that will come up to another $15,000 pretty much. Or we can do this right here. Well, we can do this. The board approve it, and we turn it back over to operations, and let operations come back with it. That's what really needs to happen. That's what really needs to happen. Yeah. The board needs to approve it and turn it over to operations, right. and operations need to handle it.
I do ask, Mr. Chairman, that operations bring it back to the board like we voted originally to put it in place. I think what's happening, policies are put in place and not coming before the board.
Oh, yes, definitely.
So we're not gonna table it, we're just gonna go ahead
well,
and
we can, there's a substitute motion on the floor that we table this. Correct. So we can revert back to the original motion that Commissioner Cowan made and Commissioner Mason second. Right.
Why don't we withdraw, why don't we get everybody to withdraw those motions? Let's do a brand new motion.
Okay.
And
There we go.
Okay.
We have to have
so let's do
the table one fail, then go back to the original.
So let's do this. Commissioner Edwards, will you withdraw your motion?
I withdraw my motion to table for 30 days.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Cowan, now will
I
you?
withdraw my motion.
Okay, now I seek a motion.
Let me announce let me read what I have heard.
Okay.
What I have heard is that there is a desire to make a motion to increase the amount of money the amount of ARPA funds allocated to senior home repairs up to $2 million. An individual applicant can request up to $30,000 worth of eligible repairs.
Yep.
Any eligible senior, any senior over the age of 55 who matches or meets all of the qualifications and criteria approved by the board may apply. And any applicant who has already submitted an application or been approved may make an additional request or amend their request for additional repairs up to the total of $30,000.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. No, it's gonna go back, they're gonna go to the operations and they're gonna come back to the board for approval.
Final approval.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I get somebody to make that motion?
How much are we paying Patrick over there? Because we need to give him a raise.
I don't know about that.
Because he figured all that crazy stuff out. But I'll make a motion to approve as what the county attorney said.
Can I get a second, please?
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Cowan, second by Commissioner Sanders. We ain't even gonna do discussion. All in favor? Commissioner Edwards?
Aye, I think.
Thank you. It passes 5-0. Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. So, Mr. Cooper, we'll give you opportunity to get with Shannon and get back with the board. We greatly appreciate it.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Next, Ms. Laura Burcham.
With apologies, Commissioners, I'm used to having only one item per night on the agenda. And this is the big one. This is the State Family Connection Grant allocation. The Board of Commissioners has voted to act as the fiscal agent for this grant since 1998. And we have continued to provide an annual plan of work that is our contract with you. And this contract, it has been approved by our local partners and then sent to the State Family Connection. It is then approved by the state, and now it is back for the Board of Commissioners to determine whether or not this contract is something that you as a board would like to continue and support.
Thank you so much for all that you do. I know you're a busy person and you run a great program over there.
You're very kind.
I seek a motion, please.
So moved.
Can I get who second? You did. It's been motioned by Commissioner Mason and second by Commissioner Cowan. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And I'm sorry, Commissioner Cowan. Just one question. And this is a question that I've been asked a few times. In District 4 over at the OR Cousin School, do we give you enough money to pay the utility bills, or do the county pay the utility bills?
I'll tell you the truth, sir. We have learned to run lean, and I think that suits our style of business. We don't have a high overhead. And so we are grateful for all that the county gives us. It has decreased over the years as the recession has come, but we have stayed as part of the county's voice for children and families through all sorts of different administrations, and we just appreciate the faith that the county has in us. And the more we can do to support our children and families, particularly building literacy,
100%.
we love it. And I will tell you this. I want to say almost 2/3 of the applicants for the senior help attended our El Cousin school. To some people, it may seem a little rustic, but to them, it's home.
Yes,
It's
ma'am.
wonderful.
So I guess what you're saying is, is that you receive one of those, utility bill from the city of Covington, and like I do at my house. Like sometime on a short month, I get 2 bills, so y'all receive a individual bill from the city of Covington.
We used to receive a bill from the city of Covington for utilities. We do not at this time.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for, I think, what, 25 years of service?
Yeah, and I don't know, I must have been 12 when I started.
Just as long as I've been elected, that's how long of service it's been.
Thank you so much. I greatly
Thank
appreciate
you,
it.
and once again, thank you, Waka. All right.
Thank you. Next is citizen comments. This is an opportunity we allow citizens to make comments. You have 3 minutes to do so. If you would, please come and state your name, your address for the record, please. If you don't want to give your address, if you could, there's a sheet over by the table over there that you can put your address on and give it to our county clerk. You may come at this time. We didn't vote?
We didn't vote, Mr. Chairman.
Well, let's go back.
Good afternoon.
Hold on,
Shepherd,
hold on,
916
hold on 1 second, sir. Hold on 1 second. We did not vote?
No.
I got 5 votes.
Well, let's vote. Let's vote again.
We did vote. We voted? Okay. Well, all in favor, let's vote then. Of the family connection.
Item 13.
Commissioner Edwards.
Aye.
Thank you. Pass 5-0. Mr.
Good
Shepherd.
evening. Archie Shepherd, 9169 Village Drive, Copeland, Georgia. I just want to comment on the raise that y'all decided to do tonight. I don't think every citizen gonna have a $30,000. It's just some of them might not be about 17 or whatnot, because some of the citizens, if they have to choose between the air conditioner or a roof on their head, that now it'll give them an opportunity to get both. And I want to thank you, Chairman, for bringing that up. Some of them won't be requesting $30,000. And the other thing is, I really don't believe you have 400 people when it's over with, because so many of them won't be able to qualify. And so I just thank y'all for considering raising it, and I hope it do go through, and I know the citizen will too. So I just want to say kudos to y'all for doing that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Anyone else? Thank you. Commissioner Edwards. I know you're trying to get off.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hey, the only thing I had was, and I know we've talked about it before as commissioners, is during these zoning meetings, these zoning changes. I believe it was Commissioner Cowan that originally talked about putting something in place. And I know, if I'm not mistaken,
he did tonight.
I don't know if Shayna's still there. Does it revert back to its previous zoning if there's not certain criteria met within 18 months after we change zoning?
Go ahead. Patrick, go ahead.
Commissioner, I'll address that. You could certainly put something in place that initiates a reversion, but you can't automatically revert. Every time you make a zoning change, whether it's what we want to call a reversion or an application, you have to follow the zoning procedures law. So there has to be public notice, there has to be advertisement, there has to be public hearings. So if you wanted to impose a condition that said, if there's no active development or no permits pulled within 18 months, the county could initiate a rezoning, you could do that. But that's going to impose a burden, and Ms. Applewaite's not here, but that's going to impose a burden on her office to track those applications, then to initiate a rezoning application, and then you'll have to hear them again and make a new vote. So the short version is the law wouldn't allow an automatic reversion.
Okay. All right. That answers my question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to drop, by the way.
Yeah, good night. Enjoy your trip. Commissioner Mason.
No comment.
Commissioner Sanders.
Good
Yes, sir. I meant to mention this last week. I want to thank the Cinelise Three Ring Studio, actually Nick Cannon and Wildin' Out VH1. I was in contact with the production company for this show, and a lot of the residents, because of I was in contact with them, were able to appear on the new season of Wildin' Out that actually filmed here in Newton County. So if you watch the new season, you're gonna see a lot of residents. And that's one of the things I was mentioning to that production company when they asked me to tell the residents about coming on to be a part of it, was that anything that's coming to Newton County where they're getting extras or whatever, that should be Newton County residents. We should be involved in those various things. That's actually exciting for the county. And also looking at the amount of money their production team spent in the incorporated areas, eventually we need to be working on our economic development on the county side, because their entire production team brought a lot of resources into this area. So I just wanted to mention that. So I'm glad everybody had a good time in regards to that. I do have a question, and Patrick, if you can look into this, because I was speaking to someone on the state side in regards to auditing of quasi-government nonprofits. Based on code 43175B4, there is no stipulation, I would like you to check on that for me, to where quasi-government are exempt from being audited. Basically what it states on the government site, any charitable organization, whether it's quasi-government or nonprofit, if they make more than $1 million, they get an audit. If they make less than $1 million, less than 500,000, it's a review, and that's on the state website. So we might want to look at that, because if we're actually selecting certain organizations, nonprofits, to do audits or reviews, it's looking discriminatory, because the state does not separate quasi-government versus regular nonprofits. They're all considered nonprofit governments. Thank you.
Commissioner Henderson.
Well, I don't have anything.
Commissioner Cowell. Well, none of y'all had nothing? All right, seek a motion that we adjourn. Can I get a second? All in favor? Pass 4-0.